So I got the recording going. If you want to start, I'm good.
Excellent. Well, hey, gang. Welcome back again. This is our third episode now with Matt Canuck and Joel. These two gentlemen have been working with us now. Again, third episode. And the stuff they've been going over, obviously, if you've been tuning in, has been basically based on team building, training, how to prospect people, verbiage, body language, all that good stuff. And so this will be our third episode with these guys. And if you've missed the first two, you can go back on the Team Freedom page as they are listed on the Team Freedom page. You can watch them over and over and again share them. But we have Matt and Joel every other Monday night, and so very excited to kick them off again tonight. So without further ado, go ahead, Matt and Joel, take over the show.
Joel, you want to do a little intro? I'm trying to mute some folks here, and I'm just not getting to that spot technologically where I can mute everybody. So I'm working on that. And if you want to talk to the folks while I mute everybody who's creating the noise, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I can hear the feedback, some movement there. But yeah, I hope, like we were talking earlier before you sign in, Matt, hoping that everybody's getting value out of it. If you haven't seen the previous two videos, I would encourage you to do that because we're building on those, right? And there you go. You mute me for a little bit, Matt. So okay. So if you haven't seen the previous two videos, I encourage you to do that because again, we're building on those. So again, go back, look at them, and hopefully we're giving you some good information, things that you can use not only on stream but in life. Our purpose is to help you communicate better. And this stuff we not only use in our sales environment and in coaching and what Matt and I do daily, but we use it in our life. It's a better way of communicating, right? So today we're gonna go a little bit deeper. We started last week talking about the emotional side of the sales process and how to have that emotional conversation with people and understand that we need those emotional statements and words and that emotional environment to be able to move people, because that's what really moves people. And we're going to go a little deeper on that. We're going to go a little bit more into science on it and how to establish these emotional environment that you need to create with your prospect, your client, your family, your friend, whoever you're talking to, how to get him to that emotional state that is conducive for you to then get him into your business and get him to say yes. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Matt?
So I'm going to jump in here into the presentation, and we can start working on that. So slideshow go, and I want to say thank you again for everybody. We're obviously really glad you're here. We do a little recap each week to kind of link it to the previous episode. Those of you who have been with us have seen our assumptions, so if you need to view those again, there they are. As far as the art and science of this, we're going to be focusing on the assessment part of this process today. We understand relationship is important, and that's going to lead us into the ability, once we have a positive flowing relationship where both parties really feel like the interaction is going to be positive, to now start to tweak the conversation a little bit in a way that you can start assessing your potential client. So we talked about the keys to relationship and assessment building, but we're going to as Joel said, dive deeper into this today. So you've all seen these slides before. Today we want to get into framing your assessment. And there are two main tenets behind this. The first one really is understanding what people want on a very basic level. And the second part of that is going to come up here in just a minute, where we talk about how to deliver that. So the first part is really understanding the human being and the fact that most people, with very, very few exceptions, are striving for acceptance. And I know Joel and I are going to weigh in on each one of these elements. There are 4 items here, and To me, it's really important to get more than one perspective. We can talk about the science and the art of it, but to hear it in, shall we say, two different languages, Joel's and mine, even though it's in this particular broadcast, all in English, you're going to see different words. And sometimes when you talk to folks, one of the things that's really important is to being able to communicate in a way that resonates with them. So I know that Joel has a tendency to communicate sometimes better with certain audiences, and so do I. It just depends on who you're talking to. And so being able to be a chameleon is also very important. So what do people want? They want acceptance. They want to feel that they're part of a group, part of something positive. Everybody wants to have that circle of friends. Everybody wants to be wanted. And that's just a basic human need that has existed for really all time. We're social animals, and we want to be accepted. We want to feel like we're one of the group, one of the gang. So, Joel, any thoughts on further on acceptance?
Yeah, and I said earlier that we were going to go more a little bit into the science of it, because we want you to understand. Not only we don't want to tell you this is what people want and you take it and run with it. We want you to know why and understand it so that you can apply it better. And if we go back to, this is neuroscience and studies and research, and I'm not a scientist, obviously. I've learned this through coachings and learnings and studying, right? But when we talk about framing your assessment, right, what we mean by that is setting it up, like I said earlier, for that emotional state of the client or prospect to be able to set them up so they are open to receive your information, right? And again, I'm going to go really scientific on this. There's basically research has been done. This was done in the University of Chicago. In fact, the people that did this research was an economist and a psychologist. They won a Nobel Prize for this research, and they found that there's basically two parts of the brain, two thinking parts of the brain, two systems, better said, that process information. And one of them, we're going to call it system one, is that animal side, that being, that we can call it even irrational side. Is a fast acting, it is programming to our system. It has developed with years, right? And that's why you see that in different cultures, they act and react differently than we do. And they're human beings, but it's because they have adapted to their environment, right? So this system number one is pre-programmed, and it also develops based on experiences and information that it received over time. But it acts emotionally. It is the one that all of you have done this. You meet somebody and you go, I have a gut feeling I don't like that person, right? Or you meet somebody and you like them right away. Or you have this gut feeling that you're unsafe, That is, you don't think through this. It just happened automatically. That's a system one that is your emotional side, really fast, reactive. Then you have system two, which is the logical side. What you need to understand is a system two, that logical side, the calculating, the mathematical, the process-oriented side of your brain is controlled by number one. So we've talked about, you heard the example of the glass half full or half empty, right? You can show the glasses to two different people. One says, I got half full, I have water. The other one is like, you give me a half empty glass. Even though it's the same glass, same amount of water, they see it in two different ways because of the way their brain is wired and the way it is framed. In fact, they did a study and they showed that people they're more comfortable choosing going from 9% probability to 100% rather than 45 to 55. So I want to say that again. You tell people, hey, if you do this, you go from 90% certainty, you go to 100%. You're sure you're going to get it. Or 45% certainty to 55. And even though it's still saying 10%, people will lean to the 90 to 100. because people want to feel, and that's a second, I think probably is a second topic there. People want to feel secure. They want to feel certain, right? So even though it's the same 10%, the way it was framed, people choose differently. So if we understand that, we need to understand that what we're going to talk about now, what people want, these 4 basic needs, human needs. If you do not create an environment that people feel this way, it's going to be harder for you to be able to prove your point and get your point across. So this is wired in all of us. Like Matt was saying, that's the science part of it. We all need, number one, acceptance. We all want to be part of a group. We don't want to feel alone. We want to feel supported. Every one of us, every single one, even the people that are a little bit more antisocial, even though they feel that way, they still want to feel accepted. That's actually one of the biggest things that you see today in politics, right? Every group is fighting for what they want, and everybody wants to be part of a group, right? And it's interesting because people that may not speak out when they're on their own, when they're in the group, they speak out and they become they have this courage, right? Because everybody wants to feel part of something and someone, and that unity. So we all need to be accepted, feel accepted. Number 2, Matt, understanding. We all want to feel that you, the person across from me, understands my point of view. I want to feel understood. I want to know that you understand what I'm trying to say and my position and where I'm at and where I come from. Matt?
Yeah, this is extremely important when you feel and your client feels that you are different from them. I mean, you may find it easier to talk to someone who's similar to you, similar background, similar upbringing, community, whatever you want to call it. When people are more like you, you're going to tend to be more easily engaging with each other. And so that's really what somebody's looking for. You know, Joel and I were talking the other day about being in a situation where you feel like you're in your hometown. You may walk past somebody that you've never met before and, not even say hi. But then all of a sudden, if you're in a place where you feel a little bit out of place, you're away from your hometown, and then maybe you hear somebody say something behind you with a similar accent that you have, and all of a sudden you turn around and you're like, hey, how are you? And this is a complete stranger that suddenly you have a connection with. There's a little bit of an understanding, hey, maybe we come from the same place. Maybe we have a similar connection. And when you're talking with people that have an understanding of each other, they tend to communicate better. And so you're going to find that in order to expand your business and to make sales, you cannot just work with the small slice of the pie of people who are like you. Most people will not be like you. And so in order to really be successful in a nationwide, statewide, worldwide community, you have to be able to allow yourself to be understood by folks who are dissimilar to you, perhaps in many ways. Because folks will trust and have confidence in people that they feel understand them. So trying to find commonality is very important. We talked about that before, because your success is going to be directly related to how well these people, again, feel accepted and how well they feel understood.
Yeah, Matt, and to give you a practical usage of this, if you're getting people, when you're presenting your business opportunity to people, if you're getting people to say, well, for you that works because you have that, but I don't. Mm-hmm. I don't have the time. You don't understand. I got 3 kids and I got this and got going to college and I can barely, I don't even have time to exercise. I don't even have time to do that, right? When you're hearing objections or excuses like that, what they're telling you is, you don't understand where I come from, right? And because you don't understand where I come from, you didn't present your opportunity in the right. You didn't frame it the right way for me, so I'm going to see the glass half empty.
So even if you have the best presentation in the world, they're not ready to receive it.
Because even though it's a great presentation, it was not framed properly because they feel you don't understand their position, where they are, what's happening to them, where they come from. So if the people you're talking to feel that you don't understand them and their situation, no matter what you present, they will block it automatically. And it's not that it doesn't make sense. They'll tell you, oh man, the product sounds great. Your company sounds great. Oh, I can see a lot of people making money. Oh, I wish I could do it, but not because, and they'll come up with any reason in their mind to validate their feeling. Going back to the neuroscience and of the brain, when brain number one, when that system number one reacts and it produces a feeling, what system number two does, it tries to justify that feeling. So the logical side of our brain starts looking for, okay, so he's feeling fear, so let me find reasons and look for reasons that, okay, yeah, we should be afraid because we're in an uncomfortable situation, it's dark, we don't know the area, I don't know that person. So brain number two or system number two is going to logically find for reasons to validate the feeling that was produced by number one. Mm-hmm. So if these people don't feel understood, the logical side of the brains are going to look for reasons whether they're there or not. And they're going to, and the funny part is many reasons in a sales environment, many times in a sales environment, the same reason people or the same objection people have not to do something is the same reason why they should do it. Right. So think about this. When somebody tells you, I don't have time, inside you should be thinking, that's exactly why you should do this, so that you can have freedom. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, I don't have the money, but that's exactly why you should do this, because this is to produce money. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, you know, my boss has me working overtime. That's exactly why you should do this, because you want to be your own boss. Right? So the objection that they give you, they're using it as a reason not to, because of the feeling that they're feeling. And again, it's because they don't feel accepted or they don't feel understood. Mm-hmm. So if you're getting those objections, you got to think, am I understanding these people? Do I know where they come from? Am I feeling what they're feeling? Because if you're not communicating properly.
And so exactly right. And it works the other way too. And all of us have been in a situation where we really wanted something and we kind of, maybe it was a little bit out of the budget, or it was something that, you know, we had previously not done because it just, you know, didn't feel right. But now all of a sudden it's something we want to do. We'll come up with any reason to justify making that purchase maybe we shouldn't have made, or making that leap into an activity that maybe wasn't the best decision, but we want it so badly. The feeling part of us, the desire, is so rich that we start looking for reasons to justify that now's the right time and the budget's okay and it'll all work out and be fine because that's what we really want. Mm-hmm. So you can put a ton of evidence, details, facts, figures, numbers in front of somebody, and they're going to pick the ones that support what they want to prove. And what they inherently want to prove is what they feel. So preconditioning is very important. When you get people starting to feel positive, they will look for reasons to feel positive and move forward and agree. And when they feel negative, they're going to look for reasons to support the negative feeling and to say no, etc. So it really kind of falls right into this next one, safety and security. Right? Everybody deep down wants safety and security. They want to feel protected. They want to feel like they're not wondering where their next meal comes from. They want to know that their children are okay. I mean, all these types of things. I got a roof over my house. I somehow feel like life is okay. I feel safe and secure. Right? It's a basic need. No matter where you come from or where you're going, you want to feel safe and secure. How do we help people get that feeling? Now, a perfect example, let's say you have an event in a room. You ever notice how most of the folks, if they're the first one or two people to get there, They're maybe a little bit cautious about entering the room because it's an empty room. They're not sure what's going to happen next. You need to escort them in, give them that feeling of safety and security, right? They need somebody to guide them, to make them feel comfortable, right? When the room is full, a lot of times these folks, they head right in. There's a lot of people there. Hey, it must be okay. And they don't need to be ushered in and pointed to a seat. Think about the folks who don't want to be alone in the front of the room and everybody's in the back of the room, right? Safety in numbers, things like this. So keep in mind that if you're having an event, it has to be welcoming, whether it's a one-on-one meeting in a cafe, the environment has to be something pleasant and nice, without a bunch of distractions, cars driving by and behind you. Find a place where they're going to feel good when they walk in, right?
Yeah, Matt, something that happens often, talking about safety and security, as simple as this. You guys do, Jason does, okay, we're going to have a meeting at my place or at this hotel or whatever, right? And you go ahead and invite your friends. Hey, you've been talking to these people about the business, and you go, hey, listen, we're going to have a meeting. I want you to go there because you're going to meet Jason and some of the most successful people in the company, and I want you to see what they're doing, right? And you invite people and you tell them to be there at 7, and they show up before you. Mm-hmm. You're not there. And when they go in, they're looking for people. They're looking for you, right? And when they don't find you, that feeling of security and safety is not there. And it sounds simple, but when that happens, they automatically feel uncomfortable. The moment they do that, the guard goes up. And it's not something that they do on purpose. Is human nature. These 4, and the next one's that's coming in a minute, these 4 feelings, these things are things that we all are programmed with. We need them, we want them. So if people go in as simple as that, they go in, you're not there on time, they're like looking for you, the fear goes up, cortisol goes up, this feeling of protection goes up, and now they're not open to receive the information as they would have if you would have been there before them, and the first face they see is yours, and there's a smile, and now they feel they're in the right place, they're accepted, you're there, they feel secure and safe. So little things like that can affect the outcome of your sale, of your process, just because of the feeling that these people get. And then once they get that feeling, again, system number 2 of the brain is going to start looking for reasons to validate that feeling. Mm-hmm. And now they're not looking for information or interested in what you have to say, because their main goal is to feel safe. Right. And it happens unconsciously or subconsciously. I don't know which one to use there, but it just happens, and they are on an uneasy state of mind, and it doesn't work. It's working against you. Mm-hmm. Matt?
Yeah, it's all about avoiding the potential of a stressful situation, avoiding anxiety. I mean, you're starting heading in the wrong direction. And the thing is, something just as little as that, it can be so hard to turn it around. You have to imagine that because these feelings and this gut reaction has been part of human nature for so long, that's what people trust more than something new that they might be attracted to. And so it's like trying to turn a big ship. Once it's going in the wrong direction, it takes a lot more effort and time to turn it around. So make sure it gets going in the right direction from the very beginning.
I'll give you another practical example on how to recognize this. You have a meeting, you have 5 rows of chairs, people come in and they sit in the back.
Oh, exactly. Another thing is we talk about maintaining connection to positive people and positive influences and be connected to your community. When there's an event in your town that you can get to, instead of saying, I've been there before, I know the presentation, maybe not this week. Think about the difference between a full room and a room that's half empty. Which do you think produces greater results? Mm-hmm. The one where there's a buzz and a lot of people involved and it's wall to wall, or the one where, well, maybe this isn't the best place to be. I'm only one of 3 people here, right? Right then and there, that atmosphere changes everything. So support each other in your local communities. Go to the events. I can tell you I was working with another group just on Saturday night, and half the people that were at the event were the people that were also there the week prior. They're already in the business, but they're there to support the business and to make it appear to be a fun, exciting place to be. It's a packed house. There's a little food, a little beverage, a little music. Now people are being invited into an atmosphere that is pleasant. They're not worried about where they are. And if everybody else is having a good time, I get a good feeling about this. Well, guess what? Everybody in the business got there half an hour before the people they invited. It's just that simple. So now there's critical mass there. You've already got a positive atmosphere going. And when the people start to come in, then it's like, hey, how you doing? I'm so glad you made it. Imagine being the first person to the party if you were a friend of somebody who got invited and you don't really know anybody there. What an awkward situation. So give yourselves the benefit of very, very simple staging. I hope you guys write that word down. Stage your event. Give yourselves the ability to precondition the folks when they come. Hey, it's going to be exciting. There's always a bunch of people there. If you can say that and it's true, now when they show up and it appears to be exciting and there are a bunch of people there, you're already telling the truth. How do you think they're going to feel about that before they even say one word? Their first impression is a whole lot different than if people are just rolling in, a few folks are late, things aren't set up, it's not the same atmosphere. That tone is what preconditions them to want to listen, to want to hear, to feel good. Joel?
We would not only on we're talking about meetings as an example, right? But also think about when you're doing a one-on-one presentation. This is a people's business, right? So doing these webinars is great, right? Being online, but there's nothing like the human connection and the human touch. So if I could encourage you to do something, is try to meet with your prospects in person as much as you can. That handshake, that hug, that human emotional connection, it is a lot more powerful than a webinar. Now, obviously, we do this webinar for because we have people from all over the country joining in, and it's effective. But when you're trying to sign people, if they're local, if they're close to you, you want to try to get them face to face. That's when it happens. That's when your business grows faster and stronger. Now, if you know that also, then where do you meet? The place that you're meeting with these people, how do they feel, right? If you're meeting in a location that for them it doesn't feel good, doesn't feel safe, it's a place that they don't like, well, then don't meet them there. You gotta really, again, like Matt's saying, frame it and stage your meeting, because if they go to your meeting and they don't feel comfortable, they don't feel accepted, they don't feel understood, they don't feel safe and secure, I promise you, they're not going to be thinking about what you're saying. Their brain is going to be looking for, I'm safe, I want to get out of here. How do I get out of here? Because I don't feel comfortable here. How many of you have had a conversation with somebody and you don't care for what they're saying? They're talking and talking, and they can talk for 10 minutes. And in your mind, you're thinking about what you got to do at home, and you're looking at your phone, and you're thinking about what you're going to have for dinner later. And the person asks you a question, and then you go, huh? Can you repeat yourself? Because you didn't care for squat of what they're saying, right? So if the people that you're talking to, if the staging is not correct, they're going to have that same feeling. They're going to have that same situation. And you can be talking. And in fact, people right now in this webinar, if you're attending this webinar and you put yourself on a backstage, if you have the TV on, if you have the door open and you can see your kids running around, you may not be getting the information as much as you could be getting, or a lot of value, because you didn't set your stage properly, right? And a lot of people, they could be in the webinar, they could be present, and they could be active, they could be looking, they could be here, but they may not get any good information out of it, because they didn't set it up properly. for themselves, right? They're distracted. So you got to make sure that when you're having a meeting, you gotta set it up correctly so that they're not distracted. They feel all those things that we're talking about. Because if they feel that way, now you're setting it up for success.
Absolutely. So let's move on to the fourth item, and I think everybody's going to like this one, to not feel like they're twisting in the wind, but to feel like they're in control. I mean, to be able to guide yourself toward what you want is very, very, very basic thing. Nobody wants to be pushed around by somebody else. No one wants to feel that they don't know what's going to happen next. People who feel like they're in control are ultimately people that feel better about their situation. They become more relaxed and they're more willing to take on new input. So very simple one, but worth mentioning.
Well, talk about this. Let's talk about a practical example. And I gave last seminar that we did, last webinar, I gave an example of the conversation I had with somebody trying to recruit me for a business, right? And the lady, without my permission, set up a three-way call. And when I called, when we engaged in the phone call, she tells me I have somebody waiting already on the line. With your permission, I'm gonna put him in. I'm gonna connect them. And even though I didn't give her permission, she did that, right? I didn't feel in control of that conversation at all. I mean, I felt manipulated. She never asked me for that. She never told me. We had agreed to have this conversation a week before, and never once she mentioned that she may have somebody join the conversation, right? I'm not in control of that situation. She's in control. And if I feel that way, again, you got the fear goes up, resistance goes up, and from that moment, in fact, when I was talking to this lady, I'm looking at my wife and I'm going, this is no good, right? My wife is rolling her eyes because, again, I was out of control. I was not in control. So make sure that people need to feel that they're in control of their environment. People need to know that they have a way out if they wanted to. A lot of people will avoid meeting with you. They avoid going to a business meeting or a presentation because they have been pushed around and almost forced into doing a network marketing business or
it's the same feeling of being lured and trapped, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to be lured in and trapped. I mean, that's something we do to something we want to eat, right? I mean, you don't want them to feel like, okay, well, you're the prey, right? I mean, that's not how somebody wants to feel. Certainly, that's not going to give me a good feeling. I have trouble. So, I get advertisements in my mailbox all the time of, hey, if you'll come for this free dinner, then we're gonna give you a little presentation on such and such. Well, I know it's a sales presentation, and the lure is something that sounds good, but it's not good enough for me to want to go because I've been to events in the past where I couldn't get out. And I then got incessant phone calls after that. And it just wasn't worth it, right? No matter how great it sounded, I knew that I was, at some point, they were going to pull the rug out from under me and I was going to get tricked. And even though it's something that I might have interest in, I don't go. Because I just don't want to be sold anything. You have to give people an expectation of what's going to happen. And so they'll be more interested to go. Not, hey, come for this, but here's what we do. Come and check it out, and let me show you how it goes. There's going to be this, and there's going to be that, and then there's going to be this third thing. And at any point, if you have any questions for me, I'll be there. It's a whole lot of fun. I sure hope you join us. And they'll get an idea of what's going to happen, because if you don't tell them what sort of the order of the day is going to be or the agenda, then there's that mystery, and that's where the fear starts to come in. And sometimes it's a lot safer to just not come.
And that's exactly why they don't go.
The trap altogether.
That's exactly why they don't go. They don't want to. They don't want to feel pressure. They've gone to this meeting before, and they last 3 hours, and then they corner you with three different people, and they don't let you go until you sign the paper, right? And if people feel they can't be in control, they will not attend. They will not want to see your presentation. So make sure that listen. And people feel in control when they use the word no.
Mm-hmm.
And this is counterintuitive. This is if you've been to sales trainings before. They may train you maybe the opposite of what we're saying now to try to get a yes, yes, yes. There's a training philosophy called yes momentum, how to get little yeses to get a bigger yes later. And the problem with that theory is that you're trying to manipulate people into saying yes, not giving them a real choice. People feel in control when they can say no. So if when you're doing your presentation, if these people, if they feel I can tell you no anytime and you'll be okay with it, they feel in control, you have a better chance of them opening to you and really paying attention and listening to you and being convinced and persuaded to join than if they feel you're manipulating them into a yes.
I'll give you a great example. Joel, would you like a lower cell phone bill?
Yes.
Okay. But you know there's something else coming now, right?
Of course.
Right? Okay. But how about, are you happy with your cell phone bill?
No.
Well, what about it are you not happy about?
It's too high.
Well, what's too high about it? What do you mean?
I mean, I'm paying a couple of $100 a month.
Deal ever?
A couple of $100 a month.
Wow. You must have some amazing service. Are you getting everything you could ever imagine out of your carrier? Do you my calls really drop sometimes. Do you ever get a drop call?
All the time. I mean, I barely get signal at work, and that's actually a true story.
So when you're communicating with someone, you have the ability to get them to move into the conversation when they have the ability and they are saying no.
You see, when Matt, the first question that Matt asked, when asked me, and I say yes, everybody will say yes to that, right?
Correct. It's a compliance question.
Yeah, it's all of you have that telemarketing.
Of course, I want to spend less money. Duh.
Hey, do you want to drink? Do you like clean water? Yeah. Do you want to have your kids to drink clean water? Yeah. Do you want a filter? No, because I know you're trying to sell me a filter, right? But the second way Matt did it, when he asked me that if I was happy with my bill, and I said no automatically. And this, again, this is all happens in the back of the brain. You don't know it's happening. It gives them a sense of control, and it opens them up for more conversation. So don't be afraid of the word no when you're talking to your prospect. If they feel they can say no, they'll be more open-minded, even though I had those words. They'll be more open to listen to you. So when you're when you're about to present your product, we talked about you gotta build a relationship. That's the first step, and then you gotta do the assessment. And in the assessment, you're trying to find out what's gonna work for them. During this time, you want to make sure that they're feeling these 4 feelings. While you're having this conversation, they want to know that you understand their point of view. You understand where they come from. They want to know they're feeling accepted, that you really, really, really empathize with what they're saying. They want to feel secure and safe, and they want to feel in control the entire time. If you can do that, it would be a lot easier and shorter period of time for them to say yes.
And they'll want to hear what you have to say, because nobody's happy with their energy bill. Nobody's happy with their cell phone bill. People are not happy with these things.
And no matter how much money you make, I don't know about you, but I always want to make more. Right? So everybody could use a business like the one that you're presenting. Right. But if they don't feel these 4 feelings while you're presenting it, they automatically, the answer would be, I don't want it. I don't want to be part of it. So now that we know what they want, and I don't know how we're on time, but now that we know what they want, how do we make them feel these 4 ways? Matt, the next slide.
We're about 40 minutes in, so ample time to get through this. And I know we like to do Q&A, and ultimately, let's get to it. The next part of this is, how do we accomplish that? So how do we deliver those things? The first thing is listen actively. And we've talked about this before, but what does listening actively means? That means having your eyes on somebody. Listen with your eyes. Please listen with your eyes. It's one of the most important things you can possibly do. active means you're also getting them to continue their train of thought, not cutting them off because you're excited to say something. Continue to listen. Ooh. Wow.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. Okay. And draw it out of them. Remember, the easiest thing to say, we've all heard this, 2 ears, 1 mouth, listen twice as much as you're talking, but don't be thinking about talking either. Be actually listening to what they say, right? Just try this at home, right? Listen with your eyes shut. You'll hear a lot more because there's a lot less distraction. Remember, if you're trying to jump into the conversation, they have eyes. They can see that. And they'll stop talking because they see that you want to say something. Okay? You're actually cutting them off without even saying anything yet, just by looking like you're eager to speak. So relax, take it all in, smile, look them in the eye, really be interested. Super important, because they will continue to talk. People love it when people listen. I'm sure some of you have been to a salon, a nail parlor, a barber shop, somewhere where someone just listens to you, just talk and talk and talk, and they have to say, oh, wow. And then you'll talk and talk and talk. The people who work in those places, think about a bartender. How much does that person know about everybody in the community, so to speak? Because they listen to everybody and they prod them on. So they feel like they're having a good time. They feel like they're loved. They feel like they're accepted, right? So if you're listening to somebody, guess how they feel? They feel accepted. They're starting to feel understood. Listen, listen, listen. So important. Joel.
And I promise you, the bartender that listens the most is the one that gets the bigger tips.
Absolutely.
It happens all the time, right? Now, when Matt said something really interesting, he said, listen with your eyes. You got to look at the connection between their body language and their tone of voice and what they're saying. Right? So, because sometimes they may be saying something, but you can, especially like, I love it when you have a couple in front of you and he's saying something and the wife puts his face. It happens automatically.
That's so great.
I don't know if I can use PG-13 words. Can I, Jason? PG-13? But, he's saying something and the wife goes, that's BS, right? And they say it with the face, right? And so you got to make sure that you're, like Matt said, you're listening with your eyes. You're listening, you're seeing the entire picture, their tone of voice. Because believe it or not, they may say something and their body language says something else. So that means listening actively. You take a break when they're saying something, count to 3. When they finish the last word, count to 3 or 4 before you respond.
I'll give you another trick. Don't have anything in mind to do, but when someone is done speaking, ask them a question rather than tell them something. And make that question a clarifying question that will demonstrate your desire to understand them and to confirm that you do understand them. Now, all of a sudden, they're starting to feel again that, oh, this person cares. This person really does or is trying to understand me. So instead of trying to say, ooh, I heard that objection, I have an answer, it's, okay, what I think you said is, or what I'm feeling that you said is, but I want to make sure that I appreciate your position because that's important to me. The difference between, oh yeah, but this is going to save you money.
Yeah.
Right? Big difference.
So
that really comes down to empathy.
Yeah.
And
empathizing.
Prepared to really go off on this, so have at it, brother.
Empathize is putting yourself in their shoes, right? Is feeling what they're feeling. That's what empathy means, right? Sympathy is when you feel sorry for somebody. Empathy is when you feel their feeling.
Yeah, because you could imagine with sympathy that, ooh, I wouldn't want to be in that situation. Empathy is, man, I've been there before. I know exactly what this is like.
Correct. So you got to really empathize with them. And in order to do that, you really have to see things from their point of view. And that's why it's important to listen actively and to try to see and feel what they're feeling. Why are they saying what they're saying? And something that they training that is very common out there is when you're trying to clarify. And Jason, you may remember words like this when they train people to say, "Oh, I understand what you're saying." If I understand what you're saying, what you mean is this, and you clarify, right? Well, I want you to start removing the word "I" from this conversation.
I'm going to stop you right there just for a quick, because I got a whole slide on that, which we can really do go in depth on that. But Joel, you're 100% right. The feeling has to be that they truly, really understand that we understand. So let's get through these last two, because I know we're a little pressed on time. Okay. And then we'll get to a little more in depth on that, because I know how important the point is. I actually specifically made an additional slide for that this evening.
Awesome.
Truly seek to understand who they are, what they need. Think of these two words when it comes out of it: feeling and thought. Okay. Seek to understand how they feel. Seek to understand how they think. You will feel differently about situations than they do. You will think differently about situations and circumstances than they do. So please try to put yourself in their mode, their world, their thought process. And when you have that connection, they will start to say, "Oh, I feel safe and secure talking to this person because they understand me." Really, really important. Yeah. And now we're getting into these labels here, and that's what I had this whole extra slide for. So I'm going to kick it back over to you, Joel. If you want to talk about labels, here you go.
Yeah, but Matt, before you go back real quick, one slide. When he says seek to understand, think about it this way: be interested, not interesting. You can present your product. It could be the most interesting business and product that out there. Mm-hmm. But if you're not interested in them, they don't care. So be interested, not interesting. That's right there. Seek to understand. If you're interested in them, it's so easy. Okay. And then let's talk about using labels. And we're going to try to go this quick. And when you empathize, you want to make sure that you're putting yourself in their position, right? So what we want to avoid is to use the words "I." Remove yourself from the situation. So when people tell you, "Listen, Jason, I like it. I mean, it sounds really good, but I don't have the time." Instead of saying, "Oh, I understand what you're saying." Well, when you say that to people, most people, what they're thinking is BS. You don't understand what I'm saying. Because you're not
even trying to push forward. Yeah, you're just trying to sell me something. So you're going to agree with anything so you can get the microphone back and start talking again.
Yeah. So imagine if you tell me you're trying to sell me the product, you don't have no kids. You're a single guy. You have no kids. I got 3 kids. And I tell you, man, I got 3 kids. It's hard. And you say, "Oh, I understand." I'm going, BS. You don't understand. You don't have 3 kids. I do. Right? How can you understand something you haven't lived? So remove the "I understand," the "I get it," the "I agree." Remove yourself from this situation. This is not about you. This is all about them. What you're trying to do with your product is help them. What you're trying to do is give them freedom, right? What you're trying to do is give them more money. What you're trying to do is give them control. What you're trying to do is give them safety. So remove yourself from the picture. So avoid using the "I understand," the "I get it," "I see how you feel," "Oh, I understand," "Oh, I agree with you," number one. And also avoid, because normally when you say "I understand," what's the next word that comes out of it? But. I understand what you're saying, but we'll say it again, Matt.
But,
right? People use that. "Hey, I understand what you're saying, but listen to this," right? And let me tell you what that word "but" or "me" or "however" means. What that means is that anything you said before that word is BS. It's horseshit. Sorry for the word. Sorry, I get passionate about it.
It's still PG-13.
It's still PG-13. Okay, I'm sorry if somebody get offended by the word. But I get excited about it. But when you say to people, oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. However, well, what you're saying is, I really don't see it. I just said that so that you shut up and listen to me. And that's automatically, it happens to all of you. You're having a conversation with your significant other, you're arguing about whatever, and you say, or she says, oh, honey, I understand but what you don't understand is this. And then you're arguing because you don't understand each other. Even though she said she understands you, she doesn't understand you because you're not me. So avoid these words, remove yourself from the picture. And what you want to do, like Matt said, is continue the conversation and engaging them to give you more information. So when somebody gives you an objection, a reason, an excuse, any reason why they couldn't or is hard, what you want to say is label the emotion that they're feeling, not the problem, not the situation. And you want to use the words, it feels like, it looks like, it seems like, and you can add one more, it sounds like. So when somebody tells you, Jason, I mean, this company stream sounds great. I just have a hard time because my work and my family, I don't have a lot of time. So instead of saying, well, I understand what you say, but if you don't do anything, how are you going to change your future? Instead of saying something like that, you want to say, it seems like your concern. Now, this is with the label part of it. You wanna label the feeling. It feels like you're concerned with the time that is required to do this business. And if you listen to what you said, I didn't ask a question, but if I said that to you, if I said to you, it feels or it looks like or it seems like, it sounds like you're concerned with the time requirement to do this business, and don't say anything else, what will you do? Even though I didn't ask a question, your response would be to clarify why you feel that way. Mm-hmm. So if we go back to the beginning of the video, we talked about system 1, that emotional side of the brain that controls side 2, which is the rational side of the brain, right? We want to talk to that side because that's the one that controls the thinking and the process. So by me labeling the emotions, when instead of the problem or the excuse or the objection or the reason why not to, instead of me overcoming their reason, I want to overcome the emotion.
And that's why people say sales is 90% emotion, 10% logic. Because if you get the emotion part right, the logic is so easy because most people's products make sense if they're framed properly and it's a solution that's delivered to solve a problem. Who doesn't want the problem solved? Everybody does.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, we gave you a list of emotions. Mm-hmm. You guys remember that? Now, let's use those emotions in this part of your presentation. When people are giving you a reason why they don't want to do the business, a reason why they cannot sign up, because that's what our job is to get them to say yes, right? And if they're telling you no because of this, instead of, again, trying to overcome the issue, time is not the issue. It's the feeling that they don't have time. Mm-hmm. But if you try to give them, well, the way this business is so easy, and you try to justify how this business is easy and how you can do it, what their brain is going to do is, because they feel they don't have time, they're going to find for reasons to justify that they don't have the time. But if you approach and you talk about their concern and their feeling, now they gotta explain it to you, and you'll find the root of the problem. So if people tell you, you know what, I don't have the money, right? Instead of saying, oh, so money. So what you're saying is you don't have $30 to start your own business and have financial freedom. Instead of saying something like that all of us have been taught to do in sales, if you've been in sales, what you want to say is, wow, it sounds like you're worried about the economic, the financial commitment of the business. And when you leave it empty like that, they're gonna go, well, yeah, I don't know if I could do this, but then I don't know how much money It will cost me to continue doing the business. I'm assuming there's more money. Okay, so let me ask you, what questions do you have about the money? How much would it have to be? What do you think this business requires? And now you can go in a conversation, because you are again, you're overcoming the feeling. Label the feeling. When they say anything, what do they really feel? And that's what you want to talk about. Are they feeling scared? Are they feeling insecure? Are they feeling trapped? Are they feeling concerned? What are they feeling? And bring that feeling to the surface. It feels like you're afraid. It feels like you're unsure. It feels like you're hesitant. It feels like you're worried. And then finish a sentence. You're worried about whatever it is, and let them tell you more. When you go to the emotional side of their brain, they will open up and they will give you the true reason why they feel the way they feel. And if you can change that feeling, if you can change a feeling from worry to sure, from unsecure to feeling secure, from afraid to being to have courage. If you can change that feeling, you get the deal. Because they're not afraid about the business, they're not afraid about the product, they're afraid about what they feel.
And when you're talking about feelings, you have an opportunity then, when they feel like it's something that maybe makes sense, but they're worried about their feeling, you can simply ask them, how could we resolve this for you? And they're going to start thinking about how to overcome their own objection, rather than continue to reinforce that objection toward you. And they're not going to feel as negative about it. People are creative. And so they'll be in a position where they feel like they can solve their own problem if you put them in a place where they feel comfortable doing that. And they're not going to get pressured or shot down or forced or cornered. They'll be resourceful. It's amazing how you can get somebody who says, I don't have money, to all of a sudden have money. Someone who doesn't have time to suddenly have time because they feel different about it. And they'll even come up with their own solution. Well, let me ask you, it seems like, Joel, you're concerned about not having enough time. You mentioned your evenings are really full with family and a lot of stuff you have, work that you have to bring home sometimes. And,
is that what you're worried about? Right? Let them tell you. And Matt said something. Matt, that question that you ask is powerful, because you said to ask them, how can we help you solve this, or how can we solve this for you? When you do that, guess what? If you go back to the first slide, you put them in control.
Mm-hmm.
And people love that feeling. And they'll tell you how to help them. Mm-hmm. So go to the feeling, go to the emotional side, talk to that side of the brain, let them be in control, make them feel secure, understood, and accepted. I promise you, it will do wonder for your business.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
You want to open it for questions, Jason?
Yeah, man. Hey, you guys were pretty awesome tonight. I really enjoyed this segment, and I'm sure many of the listeners have. If you have any questions, go ahead and pop them in our question box, and we'll answer them. It's 10 o'clock, so we got a few questions here if anyone has any.
And listen, and Jason, this is very useful, obviously, we're talking about business, but I'm not marriage counselor, but use it at home too. Use it with the wife, use it with the husband. You see it different.
Yeah, right? I can tell. I might have to try that, Matt. So who has questions? Anybody out there have any questions? Go ahead and
we love answering practical, issues that you're going to have day to day. I was asked at the meeting on Saturday, and again, please, type in something that has challenged you in the last week or two or month, or a real life scenario that you had. We'd love to take a shot at it for you. But a person asked me, how do I meet people that I don't know? I've talked to everybody that I know that I feel comfortable talking to, and I said, well, there's two issues right there. Why is it that you only feel comfortable talking to some of the people you know? And that got a whole conversation going. And then the second thing was, how do you talk to people that you don't know? Well, I mean, one of those things is really easy. It's just saying hi to strangers. I mean, you're going to be in a line at a checkout. I don't care if it's Walmart, Target, the grocery store, Macy's, you name it. You're going to be in a line to check out somewhere. It's okay to turn to a stranger and say, how are you doing? Right? And then mean it. People love a smile. People love to be acknowledged. Remember, it goes back to wanting to be included, right? Hey, welcome into my world. I'm having a great day. How are you doing? Did you find any good deals today? I got this great BOGO, whatever. And all of a sudden you're talking to somebody. You're fun to be around, right? Mm-hmm. So what I would say is another technique of finding new prospects, because this is definitely a prospecting business, is making sure that, you're following one of our assumptions of have a task list every day, be organized. Are you posting every day? Right? Are you engaging people? Do they see you as a character they want to follow, that they're interested in, right? Think about being more active as a volunteer. It's going to make you feel good. You're going to give time to a worthy cause, and you're going to meet a bunch of new people. How about half an hour at a soup kitchen once a month? How about half an hour at the Salvation Army once a week? I don't know. Do we not have that time? I'm going to go back to TV, Joel. I guarantee you I can find a half an hour a week, a month, or a day if I just turn off the TV a little bit. And now what I can be is I can be in the Rotary. I can actually do something for the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, something. And I'm giving back to the community. I'm meeting new people. I'm doing something positive. I'm going to feel great. And people are invariably going to ask you at some point, hey, so what do you do? And it doesn't mean you hammer them with a pitch right there, but it gives you an opportunity to be social and meet a lot of new people. Okay? Give yourself that advantage. It's a win-win. How can you lose by giving back to your community a little bit? It's going to make you feel good. You're going to meet some new people. What's wrong with that?
We have some questions here. Raphael says, awesome training. Question for Joel. In the first training, you talked about a book, Selling Without Saying a Word. Can you share the title? Well, if I remember correctly, I talked about a book that I ordered that I had not received yet because it was on back order. And I actually received it, started reading it. And the book is Be Quiet, Be Heard, The Paradox of Persuasion. So I just started reading it because I just received it. It was in back order. I had to wait for like 2 months. It was recommended to me as a great book. I cannot tell you it's a great book. I remember I just heard about a book that talks about persuading people without talking much. Be quiet, be heard. And it's interesting because, and thank you for reminding me, Raphael, because I started reading it and you see the highlight right there. Listen to this. It says here, the fool persuades with his reasons. The wise man persuades with my own. So Matt and I just talked about that. Let them tell you how to solve the problem. Ask them about how they're feeling. Let them, and I said earlier, the same reason why they shouldn't do it is the same reason why they should do it. Mm-hmm. Don't try to persuade them with your reasons. The fool persuades others with their own reasons. The wise man persuades them with their own. Mm. Right? So I just started reading this book, and so far it's been a good book. But yeah, it's called Be Quiet, Be Heard. And he asked me on another question about another book. I think I mentioned a few books. A book that I referred to my friend Jason. If you don't mind, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some links so that you can share it with the group. And I'll give you 3 or 4 books that are core books that we use a lot, that we've learned a lot, that we read and over and over, and might be useful for you guys, so that you can put it on the group. Is that okay with you, Jason?
Absolutely.
So I'll give you that list, Raphael. Pamela asked, where can we get the feelings list? Go back to the previous video. You'll see it there. So it's there on the second video. Abraham Lizardo, he asked, how do you bring the business to someone you don't see in person, but have in your social media without sounding like a salesman? Okay, I'll answer that quick. Don't be a salesman. Create a relationship. Build a relationship first. If you do that, then the conversation will come up. What do you do? So I'm assuming if you have them on social media, there's a connection somehow, right? Because you wouldn't have somebody on social media unless your goal is to be an influencer. You want as many people as you want in your social media so you can get paid to advertise. If you're not that person, if you have somebody on social media, it's because you have a personal connection to them, either personal or you have somebody that knows them. And that's how they came to your social media. So create a relationship. Reach out to them and start a conversation. Right? What brought you to that social media? If he's a friend of a friend, hey, how do you? If I'm talking, let's say I meet Matt in social media through Jason, I'm gonna ask him, how do you know Jason? I know Jason. I met Jason this many years ago. We worked together, and we create that conversation, and we find commonality, right? And then we start sharing information about each other, and eventually, and it doesn't take long. The conversation of what do you do becomes part of that communication. And when that happens, you got to be ready to do your pitch without sounding like a salesman. And we talked a little bit about that, and that's what we're talking about now. If you talk the way we're talking now, if you talk about feelings, about what people want and how they want to feel, you don't sound like a salesman. You're interested, not interesting. So make sure that you build a relationship. That's the first step. We talked about 4 steps of the sale. That's the first one. Build a relationship with your people. That's going to get you closer to the opportunity to create a sale and get the customer and get the client and get the prospect. Any other questions, Matt? Anything you have to add to any of those?
I was going to say, yeah, plant seeds and water them. You got to be patient. You put a fish on a hook, shall we say, and sometimes you got to wait, and it's a little bit of a process. You have to, that fish has to be interested before they bite, right? So you're making someone interested, you're building up the curiosity, and then it's their idea to move forward and ask the question. If you post, so excited to be heading out today to meet Bob and Alice, and we're having another great evening. Wish you could be here, right? Well, people, again, want to be accepted. They want to be involved. It's they're social, and invariably that little bit of a lure in just you being happy and telling them about how much fun you're having, or going out to a meeting or whatever. They're gonna go, well, what meeting are you going to, or what? Just the curiosity is going to kill the cat, right? I mean, you pull the string a tiny little bit, and all of a sudden the cat's going crazy. But if you throw the whole ball of yarn at them, they'll bat it to the side and walk away.
Yeah.
Right? So tease them with a little bit of string, and all of a sudden they'll play with you for an hour.
Yep.
People are the same.
Yep. For a while, we were doing some investment, some short-term investment and productions and stuff like that, Matt and we have some investors. I remember going to Miami to, in person, pay one of my investors their profit, right? And I remember putting on social media, nothing better than helping others, and here, and I put a picture going with this check to pay one of my investors, right? I'm really excited about it. And I honestly did it just out of excitement. I was happy that I made money for that person and help them with a financial situation that they were struggling with. And they made a lot of money in that investment. And I was happy about it. All of a sudden, I got a bunch of, hey, what kind of investment is that? Can I get in?
Me? What? You didn't ask me.
What is it, right? And so tease them a little bit with that. I mean, so glad I'm part of this group. Nothing like being a part of a group that works together for financial freedom. I'm just leave it there, right? And if you guys are part of of this group and you're in social media, you will comment in each other's post.
Absolutely, support the effort,
right? And you will make that post go, because as you know, in social media, if Matt posts something, right? Let's say me and Jason are not friends in social media, but Matt is a common friend. If Matt posts something on social media, we will both see it. And if I make a comment on that, Jason will see my comment because it was related to Matt's post, which Jason is a friend of. So if make that post between you, all of you guys, make it go viral, help each other out. When Jason posts something, share it on your social media, even if it's not part of your group, because people then will go, wait a second, I saw a post and he had 300 likes. What is that Freedom Team? What is that Stream Team? What is that power bill? That bill that it was cut in half. So help each other out. Help each other, and social media is a great tool. So plant the seed, water it, do that with each other. Look for the problems that you can solve. What value can you add to their lives? Everybody needs help one way or another. That's Rich. I build relationships outside of Stream with other knowledge and I have and other skills. Build a strong foundation in a relationship, get to know them and vice versa. Once trust is built, and they will follow you no matter what. And I'm gonna change something real, Rich, hopefully you don't get offended by this, but I'm gonna change something real quick. Once trust is earned, trust, you can't build trust, but you can earn it. So you have to earn these people trust. Once you earn the trust, and listen to this, folks, trust is super hard to earn, it's really easy to lose. And Matt said something earlier. You tell these people, he says you earn, wrong wording. It happens to all of us, right, Rich? But I'm really particular with words because that's what we do for a living, right? But if you tell these people you're going to be there at 7 and you're not, automatically, again, let's go back to that one side of the brain. Fear goes up, something is wrong. Even if it was just you were in a traffic jam and you have to explain yourself and excuse yourself. But at that moment, something is wrong. And now you lose trust. It's hard to regain. Trust is hard to earn. It's easy to lose. So make sure that you earn that trust. But Rich, you're right. You look for problems you can solve. It's all about them. Everybody needs help. Build that relationship, earn that trust, and it'll follow. They'll follow. You're correct. Any other questions? Anything else you want to add, Matt?
You're going to get back tenfold what you give. So help others, and you'll be amazed that suddenly your reputation precedes you, and you'll find people look at you a little differently when they meet you for the very first time, and it's pretty special. So build your relationship with people that you haven't even met yet by being wonderful to those that you do know.
Jason.
Yeah, man, you guys were great tonight. Let's see, we got you back March 18th. So let's take this training on the road and let's do something with it, gang. They gave us some valuable stuff here tonight. And more so than any, let's invite some people from our teams. Let's get others on this call so that they're taking part in all this, because obviously it's valuable and it's going to help us grow. So let's pack these lines out. But great job, Joel and Matt. I really enjoyed this tonight.
Good, man. Hopefully we're bringing value to you guys. So.
Oh, yeah, I think this was the best one so far. Keeps getting better.
Building little by little. Thank you for having us.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a great week, everybody. I'll sign out and wish everybody a fantastic and successful week. And we'll see you in 14 days.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.